There was a time when currency was material made of gold and silver. It had therefore an intrinsic value and could become scarce. At that time, the materiality of currency, its value, its scarcity were some of the problems communities had to deal with. A major problem was security, as it was not easy to travel along sunken lanes and in the heart of dark forests with purses or chests filled with clattering coins. Thus, the goldsmith, the banker's predecessors, had the idea of offering the safekeeping of precious values against bills of exchange. At destination, all one had to do was to show up at a fellow goldsmith to retrieve one's values. Later the system improved, making possible the transfer of bills, so it was no longer necessary to convert them. Thus was born the principle of dual currency system, made of a real protected currency and a currency for common use which circulated, pieces of paper with no intrinsic value, but accepted for payment as they can be converted into gold at any time. This principle is still in the heart of our system. The difference is that gold and silver have been replaced by the so-called central bank currency. What is central bank currency? Confidence that once resided in a value of the metal which made up currencies has been replaced with the one given by the central banks on the basis that these organizations guarantee the successful completion of banking operations. In addition, they have the monopoly of currency issue. Thus, central money is the only legal tender. It comes in two forms: banknotes and coins on the one hand, which is the so-called fiduciary money we use every day, and scriptural form on the other. This latter form is not available to us. It is only available to banks that pay what they owe each other with their central bank account. But as you probably know, banknotes and coins represent only 10% of our transactions. Most of our transactions are made with scriptural money, not with central bank money. This is the equivalent of the past bill of exchange. It is not currency, it is a promise of currency. When your bank statement indicates that you have, for example, 1,000 euros, dollars, yen, or other, in reality you only have the promise of the bank to obtain for you 1,000 euros, dollars, or yen in central bank currency if you ask for it and when you ask for it. Meanwhile, your account is only an empty bag which the bank commits to fill until an agreed level. The principle of dual currency settled the issue of security, but still there was a recurring problem to solve: precious metal scarcity leading to currency scarcity. Goldsmiths became bankers when they developed financial techniques to overcome this problem. Seeing that bills of exchange were circulating well and that people were not applying systematically for their conversion into gold, they had the idea of granting loans by submitting bills which were not guaranteed by a corresponding gold deposit. Did the payee think the bankers lent him his own money? Most probably. There was no reason to think otherwise. In fact, the banker's bet was to have more paper value in circulation rather than he actually had in metal value. He was relying on the fact that not everyone would ask for conversion at the same time.
Ici encore,
again, the principle of fractional reserve is at the heart of the modern monetary system. Banks are required to keep at the central bank a reserve of currency, but this reserve is well below the amount of customer deposits. The ratio requirement varies between countries. It is usually between 0 and 5%. You will therefore understand that the whole system is based on an optical illusion because banks are far from possessing in central bank currency the amount of their commitments to their customers. Let's not forget that money is a social convention based on trust. Given current practices, trust can only exist if this principle is hidden to the public because it's an element of uncertainty and instability. This is the time when the door of our jail was unlocked without our noticing it, and what should have resulted in freedom turned out to be a means of enslavement. We are in August the 15th, 1971. At that time, currencies are still linked to gold, but only through the US dollar. Why? Because at the end of World War II, 3/4 of the world gold stock are in the United States. For this reason, the Bretton Woods Agreement makes the American dollar the only convertible currency. This is what conferred to the American dollar its supremacy over all other currencies by becoming a reserve currency and the currency of international trade. In the years that followed, while dollars spread all over the world, the US gold reserve declined. In 1971, the situation of Al-Qassam, stuck in the Vietnam War, was quite different from that of 1944. The dollars in circulation were far from being guaranteed by the gold remaining in Fort Knox. Some countries, including France, no longer trusted the paper dollar and started asking for gold against the dollars they had in stock. What would happen if everyone did the same? President Richard Nixon did not wait for the answer. On August the 15th, 1971, he put an end to the convertibility of the dollar.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
La perte du dernier lien qui...
The loss of the last link that connected money to gold has sounded the death bell of the era of material money. The new era is that of dematerialized currency, virtual currency, with no value or existence of its own, the era of dead money.